Hello everyone. It is finally here. It is the day we have all been waiting for. It is June 27th, and it is a great day for a Canadian Grand Prix here. It is, of course, DMR versus the Misfits Racing League, the MRL, of course, and we are just about to get things kicked off here. But before we get into that, we have some business to take care of. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a giveaway going on today. It is, of course, the highly anticipated F1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. So, this is the deal. All you gotta do is be here watching the stream when this race ends. You gotta type MRL 2020, as you can see people in the chat already doing it. When you type MRL 2020, it makes you eligible for this giveaway. Now, in order to be eligible after typing MRL 2020, you make sure that you are followed along with the channel, and you will be the winner should your name get drawn. Of course, Nightbot is handling the giveaway madness, so everything is going to be randomized. So that is one thing to take into account. So when we do hit the roll it button on Nightbot, it is going to randomly select a viewer from the chat. So of course you must be logged in. You must have typed MRL 2020 at some point during this cast, and well, you may just be the one to win. Now let's take a look at the circuit we're going to be visiting here today. It is, of course, going to be the circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the Isle de Notre Dame in Montreal, Canada. And I am very happy that DMR happened to pick this circuit. Of course, my home circuit as a Canadian. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun to drive for these racers, as I'm sure you guys have all experienced before. Let's take a look at the event. So there you have it on screen now. You have the splash page for the event, MRL versus DMR, and I am extremely excited to get into this one. Oh dear, it is going to be a very, very intense race, I imagine. It is going to be some of the best racers we know in league racing here today. DMR with a solid grid, MRL with a solid grid as well. Of course, I am trying to be as neutral as I can be here today, and I suppose it's a good thing it's Canada, because there's going to be a lot of action here in this one. Just waiting on a couple of drivers to get things ready to go. Not too sure where the DMR commentator is at the moment. I believe we are just waiting on him. Not too sure what's going on there. It is race time though. And well, looks like we have a slight delay. Thank you, Mr. BTFU, for the 4-month subscription. Greatly appreciate your support as always. Unfortunately, not going to be racing today. And there we go. I do believe the commentator from DMR has finally arrived. And these drivers should be ready to jump into this race. So, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the rules, ghosting is off here in Canada. The qualifying is, of course, short 18 minutes. It is going to be a 50% distance race here. And on top of that, it is going to be, and I'm sure some of you may be excited for this, it is going to be dynamic weather, which means these drivers have no idea what kind of conditions they are going to be jumping into. And I can't say I'm disappointed about that, as, well, I'd love to see some rain in Canada. Of course, some of my friends may tell you, I recently got an opportunity to finally watch the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix, which in my honest opinion got robbed by Hockenheim last year for Race of the Decade. But of course, Hockenheim, great rain race as well. And the rain races never cease to amaze here. We are going to jump into this game in just a few moments' time as these drivers now are loading into the session. Very, very exciting stuff. So welcome to all of the viewers joining us today here for this awesome event. There you have it. It is sunny here for qualifying. If any of the drivers are available to give me some kind of weather report, that is always greatly appreciated. But there you can have it. We have a full grid here. Now, I'm going to take you through how the teams are going to work here in this race. So you must be thinking, well, if it's 10 drivers from each league, how are the teams divided? Well, the teams were split up. So each league was given an opportunity to pick captain style, one team at a time until they got 5. So I will tell you, once I get my trusty little list up here, which drivers are in which cars. And of course you can see it on screen there. I can just go down the chart here, but you can see there MRL will be taking up seats for Toro Rosso, Ferrari, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, and McLaren today. DMR will be driving in Mercedes, Renault, Williams, Racing Point, and the Haas car today. So that is one way you can tell. So 5 teams per league out on circuit today. Bois out of the pit lane now. We're going to jump on board with the first driver out. That is going to be the DMR Williams driver of, I want to say, Haney? I don't know. Unfortunately, I am solo casting this. The DMR commentator had other plans, so I'm not going to have the perfect pronunciation for these drivers. You can see the 2 racing points coming down through the hairpin now as well. That's going to be Chris and Total Wizard looking to set their first laps of this session pretty soon, but we're going to jump on board with the Williams as they look to begin their lap very soon. It looks like that might have been Luptra that jumped him on the out lap, so we're going to... Oh, and he's decided to jump into the pit lane now. So that's going to be the Williams from DMR flying through into turn 1 now. Getting as much of that inside curbing through 1 as he can. Staying nice and tight to the inside out of 2. Coming down into the first major chicane, the 3-4 chicane, and there it is. That is one of the places you are going to see a lot of invalidations and possible warnings and penalties dished out here in Canada. The 3-4 chicane can be so unforgiving, as can any of the other chicanes. As we look for another driver on a flyer, I believe it's Total Wizard, who has also invalidated, but he isn't going to be the first one. Chris, ahead of him, currently in 15th on your timing tower, going to be flying down into the hairpin now. Man, I do love this circuit. DRS wide open now, down the back straight. Coming into the most notorious section of this circuit, the Wall of Champions. And that's a huge cut on the inside of 13 there. That's going to be an invalidated lap. A lot of drivers going to be struggling to keep things clean through there. It is one of the most difficult chicanes in F1 2019, and there is a retirement. It looks like Luigi and Bois have had an incident. Not too sure what happened with them. It looks like it came out of the Wall of Champions chicane here, and I have no idea what could have happened there. Ghosting's going to be off. Freeware just pushes right through. Not too sure what happened with him. He didn't take any damage, so it's possible on his screen those cars were not there. But now we have 3 drivers out of this session. That is going to be Bois, Zamis, and DMR Luigi, all out of the session here in qualification. 14 minutes remaining. Freeware in the Ferrari now, looking to set a first lap of this session. Meanwhile, Liam has come across on pole position, a 109.280, but Fluffy in the Haas smashes that time out of the park, a 108.649. So it is currently a Haas on pole position. Meanwhile, Shenjie coming across on the medium compound tires, a 109.214, very quick from the Alfa Romeo, who's going to be having to do most of the heavy lifting here in qualifying, as Zamis is now out of the session. Freeware coming up on Yoda right now. Looks like he's going to get a tow from his teammate. Very nice from them, putting some teamwork here at play. Freeware coming down into 13-14. Let's see if he can keep it clean through Champions. So far, so good. Nice and tidy through there. Could have taken a little bit more curbing maybe, but he wants to keep it nice and safe, and he jumps into P2 ahead of Shenjie, a 108.8. Very nice stuff from him. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Striffium, and we are going to be doing a fantastic giveaway Once this race concludes, make sure you type MRL 2020 in the chat, follow the stream, and make sure you're here when these drivers cross the line, as we're going to be jumping into that giveaway as soon as this race finishes. So jump in for your chance to win F1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. It's going to be a lot of fun, this race. Yoda now on a flyer coming through the 7-8. Or is it 8-9? I can't remember right now. I'm too excited about what's going on. The Yoda coming down into the hairpin in the Ferrari. Nice and tight on that inside curb in there. Fairly clean exit. Let's see what kind of time he is able to put on the board. Right now you have Fluffy on pole position for the DMR squad in the Haas. Freeware in second, Henner's in third, and that is your top three here so far. Can Yoda do anything about it? Through champions now. DRS wide open coming down to the line. What's it going to be? It's looking good. He jumps into second position, and it's a Ferrari 2-3. Yoda 108.782. Beautiful stuff from him. A lot of drivers now still yet to set times. Only 11 out of 20 drivers in this qualifying session have set times. Of course, 3 of them weren't able to, as Luigi, Zamis, and Bois are out of the session, and they are going to be hungry to move up through this field, as I know all 3 of those drivers have some very great speed. Looking for a driver on a flyer. We're going to jump on with Alex Bitto in the Toro Rosso. Unless we can find a DMR driver here that's on a flyer, but it looks like they're all on outlaps at the moment. Luigi is currently out as well. Alex is going to beat Absinthe to the line, so we're going to jump on with him. Coming through this last section of circuit. What's the time going to be? He jumps into fourth position, a 108.920 from him. Absinthe going to be crossing the line now as he comes out of champions, keeping it valid. Very important there. Number 96 in the Haas car. He jumps into pole position, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a Haas 1-2. Very nice from him. Very nice from Fluffy to put those cars on pole position here. Took him a couple of laps, Mr. Absinthe, as you can see on the tire tower there. 2 laps on those softs, so could be more pace in that car. Could also be that he ran a little bit more fuel, knowing that that chicane at the end of the lap could be a little troublesome. Luke setting a purple first sector here in the Mercedes, looking to improve on a 109.363. Chris in the Racing Point, a 108.316. Coming through this final section of circuit now into the 13-14 chicane that is Wall of Champions. Very careful on that inside curbing through 13 there. Jumps into 5th position right now, and DMR doing a good job of jumping out ahead of the MRL squad at the moment. They are currently leading this qualifying session 1 through 5 with the MRL boys. Now jumping into the mix, it looks like Shenjay comes across a 108.427 into 3rd position. Not quite enough to dethrone any of the front row drivers, but he does push himself onto that 2nd row. Liam on an invalidated lap. Jay now looks like he's on an in lap of some kind. DMR Vexit finishing a flyer. Currently invalidated, perhaps starting a flyer, maybe putting a little bit more fuel in the car. Just a friendly reminder to all of our viewers participating in the giveaway that in order to be eligible, you must type MRL 2020 into the chat, as you've seen many people doing it, and of course you must be followed along with us here on Twitch. So make sure you smash that follow button so that when we do the giveaway, you don't get passed over for not following. A lot of really tight times on this grid right now. We're going to take a look at the gap to leader right now. And you can see that all the way from 1st to 12th position, there is less than a second separating these drivers. And there is less than half a second separating the drivers from 1st to 6th. And less than half a second separating the drivers from 7th through into 10th. So it is, well, it's crazy. It's crazy tight grid. This is going to be a very, very scorching, hot, action-packed race in Canada. As all active drivers now set times, let's take a look at how the grid is shaping up. It's Fluffy on the front row in pole position with Chris lining up next to him. The Williams in 3rd. Shenjay in 4th. Absinthe in 5th. DMR Vexit into 6th on the medium compound tires right now. His lap was a 108.668. Neth Luke in 7th, Yoda in 8th, Freeware in 9th, DMR David rounds off the top 10. Alex Bitto in 11th, Henners in 12th, Luketra in 13th, Liam in 14th, with Jay rounding off the 15 drivers. Wizard in 16th, and DMR the Stig, as I have met him, is in 17th at the moment. So things are looking super, super tight. As things now start to wind down here, 6 minutes remaining. A lot of drivers in the pit lane at the moment. Let's see if anybody is on an active flying lap. It looks like the Haas of Absinthe is. Looking to see if he can improve. I have not yet received an official weather update. A lot of drivers qualifying on soft compound tires here. Is it possible we're going to see rain? Ooh, I would love to see it, but I'm sure some of these drivers are definitely going to be dreading it. Tire strategy in Canada can definitely vary. Tires can wear out very quick here. I do believe 2-stop is in play, just as well as a 1-stop. I do believe you can stretch a medium hard here, but if not, I think the 2-stop may be the quicker strategy. Of course, safety cars, if this qualification session is anything to go by, could very well be in play as well, as we have 4 drivers out now. I do believe that is the Renault of the Stig currently off outside of 13-14. Few drivers jumping into the pits there, and that is a very difficult position for that Renault. Shenjay on what looks to be like another flying lap here. Is he going to be able to do anything about those pole sitters? Very nice entry and exit through champions there. Very clean, nice and tidy. And there he is, the Shenjay we all know and love, jumping onto pole position in the Alfa Romeo, telling his teammate Zamis, "Don't worry, my friend. I've got you, baby." And he jumps on with a 108.213. 0.04 of a second, pretty well ahead of Fluffy in the Haas. But of course, Fluffy gonna have another opportunity to set a lap time here. Liam on perhaps a out lap or in lap. I do believe he may be on an in lap here. Looks like there's been a disconnect from the Renault driver as well. I think we're going to see Liam jump back into the pits now. As Mikau would normally say at this point in the qualification session, it is, of course, the calm before the storm. A lot of drivers in that pit lane now. And now you can see the Ferrari, McLaren, Henry, and Freeware heading out. That's Total Wizard going to be heading out as well. But Freeware is jumping on his lap now. Quite possibly could be his last lap of the session. He's currently sitting in 10th, a 108.805. Ooh, and there's a big cut through the third turn. Not going to be happy about is the German driver, Yoda. His teammate, still in the pits, just ahead of Freeware. Going to be heading out soon, I imagine. Total Wizard in the Racing Point. Shout out to LOR, where I've had an opportunity to drive with him in the past. Very clean and quick racer, but ooh, he just takes a little bit too much curb there. Unfortunately, invalidating his lap. Not sure if he'll have enough fuel to go again. And he is going to begin another lap, so we are going to ride along with him in just a few moments, but it's going to be the Williams of Bueni in 4th, and I'm very sorry if I butcher your name, but he is unfortunately invalidated. So we will jump back on over with Wizard as he makes his way through into Sector 2. Now, for those wondering how it's going to work, which league is going to win and how, I do believe it is, of course, going to be down to the top 10 drivers and the league with the most points at the end of this race, if I'm not mistaken, will reign victorious in this wonderful exhibition event. Total Wizard there, a bit of a cut through 14, but it looks like he may have gotten away with murder as he did get the lap through a 2nd and 2/10 improvement. He jumps ahead of Jay into 15th position, but it's not enough to crack into the top 10, as that top 10 is looking extremely, extremely tight. You can see now the gap to leader from 10th to 1st is only half a second, and the gap from 1st to 2nd is only 0.04 of a second. Very, very tight at the front, on the front row, that is for sure. And we only have 3 seconds left remaining in this session, as all of these drivers now are going to be on their final laps. Hopefully we see a big shakeup of this grid. Nethluke crosses the checkered flag in 7th. He will not be able to improve from his time. He set a 108.587. Fluffy taking the checkered flag, a 108.259 is his fastest. The Williams, a 108.3 there in 5th. Yoda comes across pole position, a 108.199, absolutely blistering, shatters Shenjay to the 2nd slot. Shenjay says, I'll take that right back, thank you very much. A 108.161, and they he just threw the gauntlet down back at Yoda. That was beautiful. So Shenjay and Yoda on the front row here. Fluffy in 3rd, his teammate in 4th. That's Absinthe. Chris in the pits at the moment, looking like he's going to catch the checkered flag in 5th with that time. Williams in 6th, the 108.374. Alex Bitto in 7th, the 108.405. Nethluke 8th. Vexit 9th. Henry in 10th. Freeware 11th. DMR David in 12th. Liam in 13th with Lutra in 14th. Jay in 15th. Total Wizard bringing up the rear of the grid in 16th with DMR, the Stig, Bois, Zamis, and Luigi all out of the session. The Stig was, of course, the only one of those 4 to set a time. A 111.135 was the time he set. Very unique grid we're looking at here, though. So we have 2 MRL drivers on the front row, 2 DMR drivers on the 2nd row, as well as another 2 DMR drivers on the 3rd row, with a split 4th row. This grid is extremely tight. These times are very rapid, and this is going to be a very, very exciting race. And there you have it once again. Shenjay on pole position, Yoda in second, Fluffy in third, Absinthe in fourth, Chris in fifth, Hueni in sixth, Alex Biddo in seventh, Nethluke in eighth, or Netluke. I'm not too sure if I pronounced the H on that one, but of course Vexit in ninth, Henners in 10th, Freeware in 11th, David in 12th, Liam in 13th, Luketra 14th, Jay in 15th, Total Wizard 16th, the Stig starting 17th here. 18th is going to be Bois' slot on the grid with Zamis in 19th and Luigi, the Canadian driver, bringing up the rear of the grid. Very, very intense stuff going to be happening here in just a few moments' time. But of course, if you are just tuning in, make sure you get in on our giveaway. We are giving away a Formula 1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition, of course, to anyone who puts MRL 2020 in the chat and following the channel here for the Misfits Racing League. My name is Stryfium, and I am commentating solo today, so you guys are just going to have to learn to listen to my very monotone commentary voice. Full disclosure, I've been told it's not that monotone, but, you know, that's the plug on myself for today. Of course, the session ticking down now. We are going to see these drivers have a formation lap here. And we have a nice dry race on a very nice afternoon here in Montreal. Once again, Shenjay and Yoda on the front row. The two Haas drivers currently running third and fourth, looking very quick behind them. Ooh, this is intense. It's coming down to this. I'm sure some of those MRL drivers and DMR drivers who weren't able to improve out of the bottom five, not going to be too impressed. I am, of course, talking about Total Wizard. The Stig over in the Renault there, as you may see him on screen as Mills, perhaps. Bois in 18th, Zamis in 19th. I know Zamis going to be very annoyed with that position. Of course, you can see Vexit qualifying in 9th on those medium compound tires. That's going to give him a little bit of an edge over the drivers ahead of him moving through into the second stint of this race. Of course, you have Henners there in between him and Freeware in 10th position on softs. And then Freeware, who qualified outside of the top 10, which is a surprise to me at the very least. Going to be starting on those mediums, as well as Luketra on hards, Jay on mediums with Wizard, Bois, Zamis, and Luigi all following suit on those medium compound tires. DMR Mills in 17th position. Going to be starting on softs, as is Liam, David, and the rest of the grid from 8th through into the lead of this race. All these drivers now coming through the Wall of Champions. The lap here in Canada is a very quick one, but there are quite a few of them. 35 laps is the duration here, as Shenjay is the first car to line up here on the grid. Luigi now coming across. All things quiet on the grid as the engines fire up. Everyone is ready to go. No lights just yet. Looks like we may have a bug of some kind. And who could that be? I see people in the chat saying Liam. And it looks like we may have had an issue here, as we have 3 red lights on now. David has left the session. These drivers are away. It's lights out in Canada. Beautiful helicopter shot down into turns 1 and 2. How are things going to go? There's a little bit of contact between the Renault and Mercedes there, but so far everybody away relatively clean here in Canada. Everyone knows it's a long race. Hopefully David's able to get back into his car there. Not going to be good for him. He's going to drop some positions. You can see him falling through the tower now. Fluffy is into the lead of this race in the Haas. Shenjay dropping back behind him. Yoda in third. It'll take a few moments, of course, for our interval tower to update. I'm going to do my very best to focus on as much of the overtaking at this race start as I can. There's a few overtakes happening amongst MRL drivers. That's the two Renaults side by side coming out of the hairpin. Vexit and Mills. Vexit has had a very poor start here, as he was, of course, in 9th when this race began. He's dropped all the way down into 17th as he gets overtaken on his team. And that's the racing point of Total Wizard behind Luigi. Zamis in 19th still on those medium compound tires. The intervals have updated. Shenjay sticking with Fluffy pretty well here. Look at that timing tower on your left, ladies and gentlemen. It is a tight one. Alex Bitto is looking at the racing point of Chris right now. All of these drivers are super tight. That's Freeware perhaps getting ahead of Liam. Liam may have had an issue there in his McLaren. Jay is getting ahead of him now. Luigi also looking at Liam. Up the inside into the hairpin is Luigi in the Williams. Looks like he's gotten that move done quite nicely. Looking for a front wing shot of Liam's car to see if he has any damage, and he most definitely does on that front left end plate. And we have a transition of positions here in the race lead. That's Shenjay out in front of Fluffy now, heading down into turn 1 here on lap 3. Very close out in front, wheel-to-wheel action here. That is the Ferrari of Yoda following along with him, and that's Fluffy back into the lead of this race, getting out ahead of the Alpha. Nice, tight driving from both of them. That's what we like to see here. And based on what I'm seeing on this grid right now, and these times, this is going to be a race that no one's going to forget. Meanwhile, DMR David in the Mercedes, gaining on the McLaren of Henners. Into the chicane, a little bit later on the brakes, Henry gets through the optimal line. Absinthe in 4th, looking to catch up with Yoda in 3rd at the moment. But of course, David not too far away from making a move. We're going to jump ahead here. Absinthe with the DRS. Is he going to make something happen on Yoda? It doesn't look like he's going to have enough carry. And he's going to wait behind him for now. Now, one thing to talk to everybody about in this race is, of course, this last chicane, 13-14, the Wall of Champions, notorious for dishing out warnings and, by extension, penalties, which means at the end of this race we could see a big shakeup. Meanwhile, Fluffy and Shenjay, they are just not escaping one another on circuit right now. Fluffy still out in front of Shenjay for now. Shenjay did have a brief moment in the lead of this race there. Fluffy doing a good job through this first sector though. Shenjay appears to be catching him down through sector 3 with that beautiful DRS, but Yoda is catching them up as well now. Meanwhile, Zamis, who we last saw at the back of this grid, is into 17th position ahead of DMR, Mills, and Vexit over at the Renault squad. Vexit has had to go on an early pit stop here. You can see there on the timing tower, he's on 2-lap old hards now. Liam has that early pit stop as well. He's on to the mediums. Jay with a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings, and this battle in the race lead is still unfolding. But meanwhile, there's still an exchange of positions happening between Alex and Chris. That is going to be Alex on the rear of Chris, heading down into Wall of Champions. Is he going to make a lunge here? It doesn't look like he is. He's going to wait, be patient. It's a long race. The Williams currently running in 5th. Henny takes a 3-second time penalty. Freeware taking one as well. And it looks like Wall of Champions is starting to claim some victims, at least on the penalty board. However, one thing I am happy to see, all 20 drivers still competing in this race. Wah and Netluke. Yoda wheel to wheel with Shenjay. He gets out in front now. Big cut there from him. He's most definitely going to take a warning, but it looks like he was ahead of Shenjay, ahead into that chicane, so not going to be required to give the position back, and that is Absinthe tapping the rear of Yoda into the hairpin. Shenjay on the inside of him, gonna have to defend from this Haas right now. And these two MRL drivers running second and third are under attack. Yoda out in front there. Shenjay's had a big issue. He's into the wall there. He wasn't given any space through the chicane, and he is crashed out at Champions, and there is a massive pileup. That's Bois into him. Freeware into the mix, and there is a massive collision at the Wall of Champions. We have a safety car deployment here on lap 6. Wow, that was a huge collision in Champions. Not too sure what's going to happen with that one. Of course, we'll have to review it post-race, see what happens. Bois out of this race. Shenjay out of this race, and it is 4 MRL drivers out of this race, which means out of the 20 drivers that started this, we have 16 remaining, and 10 of them are DMR drivers versus the 6 of the MRL. So it is up to the MRL drivers currently still on the grid to get into those points and get out in front of these DMR racers if they are hoping to get any kind of win here. But I don't know what's going to happen as a result of Absinthe driving craft into that chicane. But scary stuff, that's for sure. So we have a safety car now. Take this moment to remind everybody that is viewing that we are giving away a copy of Formula 1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. And if you're looking to win that, all you need to do is follow the stream and make sure you're here when the race ends, as well as type MRL 2020 in the chat. Well, that was a pretty clear incident there. That was a terrible crash through Champions. Not a place you want to be going wheel to wheel in. Of course, I mentioned the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix earlier. For those of you Red Bull fans out there or Mark Webber fans out there, he was continuously battling through that chicane in that race, and you saw him when he didn't have the room cut through that turn 14 runoff area, which is, of course, the safe thing to do. But the driver on the inside does not have that that option. So Haas with a double stack, they're going to lose some position now. Absinthe is into 9th. And his teammate Fluffy, of course, getting into the pits ahead of him. Zamis, though, into 3rd on the mediums. Ductra in 16th. Of course, the fastest MRL drivers, such as Mikal and Zmayo, not present today. Fortunately, they had other things that they needed to get done. But, of course, I think that if we had seen them here, we'd see a little bit of a different outcome. But, of course, Shenjay, one of the fastest drivers that I've ever seen out of this race. You can see him down there in 20th. And it is a sad, sad sight for all of the MRL fans, myself included. That is for sure. Of course, now, it was told to all of these drivers that any kind of poor racecraft or filthy driving would be penalized by the league administrators in their specific leagues. So if anybody's wondering what may come out of this, penalties are on the board. And they can be dished out in whatever leagues, and they can impact these racers heading into their new league racing seasons, as was agreed upon by Zamis and the DMR owner, Mr. Aduronov, aka Adam. Of course, I'll be the first person to say this event planning has been very unique, but I'm just happy we're finally here getting some racing in around one of my favorite circuits. Of course, no bias there being Canadian or anything. Tire strategies now have been completely thrown out the window with this safety car. You see the top 3 on the 7-lap-old mediums. They are not going to be required to pit anytime soon. They can go for quite some time on these mediums here in Canada. Yoda, Fluffy, positions 4 down through into 9th on fresh mediums. Of course, I'll take this time to shout out the Misfits Racing League for their event that is going to be taking place at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, aka 5 o'clock BST. It is going to be an MRL exhibition race in Austria. featuring Formula One Williams racing driver Nicholas Latifi. So if you have nothing going on tomorrow, I highly suggest you hit that follow button. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Time. And, of course, 5 o'clock p.m. BST. Of course, Nicholas Latifi in the UK right now ahead of his race next week in Austria. So we thought it would be fitting to hold a nice 50% race for him in Austria. Safety car in this lap now. Luigi slowing down the grid, and he is down on the throttle. Fluffy gets an illegal overtake, and he is dropping a massive amount of positions there. Not a place you want to do any kind of illegal overtaking on the safety car restart. Of course, he's now dropped into 6th position. Yoda's out in front of him. Zamis is in 3rd, looking to hunt down Total Wizard. The Williams on the fresh compound tires, Henny in 4th, gonna have a lot of traction compared to the drivers ahead of him. Zamis hunting down Total Wizard on this restart. Meanwhile, there's an overtake. It looks like some wheel-to-wheel action. Henry versus the Haas of Absinthe. He gets out in front, but he's on the rear of David. What's he going to do? He goes to the very inside into the chicane. He gets out in front of all 2 of these drivers behind him. What an absolute mugging from the McLaren on the Racing Point and Haas. Nice stuff from him. Zamis looks like he's had a bit of an issue. We're going to have to take a look at that front wing as he's dropped now into 6th position. Some more overtaking through the grid on this restart. That's Vexit out in front of David. Very tight to the rear of Liam through the chicane. Meanwhile, Henny getting out in front of Total Wizard. Looks like Total Wizard may have let him through there. Getting some DMR team tactics going. Yoda catching them, though, on the 3-lap-old mediums. He now has a slower car ahead of him that he needs to dispatch quickly. He moves to the inside into the next turn. Total Wizard tries to defend, putting his car in the center of the circuit. Yoda says, don't worry about it. I'll take the inside even more. And he gets through into 3rd. Very nice from him. Fluffy, though, isn't sitting around to wait on Wizard either. Meanwhile, Henners is still charging. He is behind this action. He's into 7th, behind Zamis. A little bit of an issue for him coming out through the hairpin. Chris Getsov in 8th is going to be looking at that, of course. Lutra getting ahead of the Renault. Down into the chicane. What are we going to see? All clean at this point, and the Williams sets the fastest lap of the race, a 111.595. That is your P2 Williams of Hueni. Exit gets out in front of Absinthe. Fluffy up the inside of Wizard. Is it going to be a move done from him? There's a bit of contact. That's Wizard losing the car a little bit there from the brush from Fluffy. Zamis up the outside now of the Racing Point. Is it going to be a move done from him? Yes, it is. Is Henry there to take up the crumbs? He's very close to Wizard through that section of circuit, and he almost got the move done. But almost isn't even nearly close enough for him. A little bit of a tap there from the McLaren through the hairpin. Not enough to unsettle the Racing Point, though. And I don't believe he took any wing damage. He is going to have DRS into the chicane. Zamis is without it at the moment. Wizard going to be picking up some pace. He's looking inside, but he jumps back behind the rear of the Alpha as Henry is catching up through the chicane. Out of the exit, up the inside now. DRS wide open for both of these drivers. Ooh, and there's a big cross from the Racing Point in front of the McLaren holding his line. Total Wizard's had an incident. He is spun. Chris is into the runoff area. David is into 9th. And Chris and Total Wizard lost out on that one. Not too sure what Wizard was doing. Crossed out in front of the McLaren there, clear as day. As we move up the grid, you can see there is a VSC, and all of these drivers starting to slow down their times as a result. So, one full safety car and a VSC to speak for here so far in Canada. At the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the man-made island, of course, in Montreal. And not too sure what to make of that one. But very unfortunate that we see a VSC deployed here. It's been a very unique race so far. Lutra, wheel to wheel with Netluke in the hairpin right now, and that is Liam on the inside of the Renault as well. We're back to green flag racing. You can see all of the drivers right now out of DRS range except Absinthe, getting a move up on Total Wizard through the inside into the chicane. He's jumping into the pits ahead of Wizard. Zamis is in. Wizard's getting off of those mediums, and that Renault from DMR has decided to retire the car in... Well, did he make it to the pit lane? I don't know. Looks like he may have had an issue through Champions. And he has. There is a Renault off in Champions. Jay slowing things right down to move on by. We have a yellow flag through Sector 3 as a result. So far, no safety car deployed there. But it is possible we may see one. Then again, it's just as unlikely given the VSC we just came off of. Meanwhile, Henny, I'm saying Henny, I don't know if I'm saying it right though, full disclosure, but the Williams in second position is within DRS of his teammate, and they're just going to train each other along for the time being. Of course, Luigi is on some quite old medium tires at this point compared to the rest of the grid. And all of these intervals have spaced themselves out now. Chris, not quite close enough to David to get any DRS through into the first stretch of circuit. Of course, the DRS detection zone for that section. He just didn't have enough speed behind him there, but he is catching now on lap 14 in this fight for 8th position. Chris versus David. Lutra's into the pits now in the Red Bull. So out of the 20 drivers that began this race, we have 15 remaining. 6 MRL racing drivers, 9 DMR racing drivers, but I have to say those MRL drivers getting collected in the Wall of Champions might not have been their fault. Luigi is inadvertently giving Yoda a very unique opportunity to catch up to the first place driver as they have swapped positions. His teammate on the fresher compound tires is now into the lead of this race. Yoda in third, though, on the 8-lap old mediums. Same tire life as the race leader is beginning to catch. Of course, a reminder to all of these drivers, it's extremely important to keep things clean through this section of circuit, through that 3-4 turn. A lot of chicanes here in Canada, easy to invalidate, and Zamis, you can tell he's flying. He just set the fastest lap of the race. That was a 1:10.861 from the Alpha driver. A lot of gaps now formed as a result of that VSC. Drivers maybe now taking it easy. Yoda looks at Luigi. Luigi's into the pit lane. That's going to push Yoda into second now, and a massive amount of positions are going to shift as a result of that stop. Fluffy is into third. Looks like Henners is going to collect fourth now as a result. Perhaps Vexit might get out ahead. Let's see if there was any damage on Luigi's car. He's serving a stop-go penalty. So that's going to hurt him even more than just the tire change, and he's going to be coming out onto some mediums. Zamis gets out into the points now. So it is currently the Williams of Henny leading this race. In first position, Yoda in second, Fluffy in third, Henners in fourth, Vexit and Chris in fifth and sixth. David and Netluke in 7 and 8. And we have Zamis in 9th with Luigi in 10th. All you need to do to enter the giveaway is type MRL 2020, no spaces, and you will be entered into the giveaway. And of course, if you are following the channel, you are eligible. And we will be doing a draw at the end of this race. A lot of penalties coming across. Race control throughout this race, of course. Not too many battles happening on circuit. Liam currently catching up with Jay for 12th position. Netluke sticking with his teammate in this fight for 7th at the moment. And for those of you watching, this is all for fun. It's all for fun. It's DMR versus MRL. It's a lovely event that we've been trying to get together for a few months. And it, it started, it stopped, it got halted, and now we're here and we are finally racing. Of course, DMR picked the Canadian circuit, which I, as a Canadian, was definitely not going to say no to. Lutra up the inside of Jay. Jay starting to struggle on those 8-lap-old softs. Not too sure what happened to Jay there in the beginning of this race, but it's very unfortunate to see him here. Vexit starting to gain some pace behind the rear of that McLaren Henners. Now, I know Vexit, if I'm not mistaken, has now stopped twice. I'm not too sure what tires he was on when he went in last time, but I know he did start this race on mediums, so very interesting to see what comes out of his pit stop strategies, if he has to pit again or not. Those mediums aren't going to be making it to the end of the race, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes as he makes a move up the inside of Henners into Champions. Both drivers not taking any penalties through there. That's always nice to see. Yoda's starting to catch up with the Williams in front. Luigi, a 110.809. is going to be the fastest lap of this race here so far now. Liam and Lutra exchanging positions. Lutra on those fresher medium compound tires, going to have a little bit more pace than the McLaren at the time. Ooh, and Henners has taken a 3-second time penalty. Looks like it was through the chicane. Not going to be happy about that for sure. There's the Williams into the pit lane now, onto a new set of tires. Wonder what kind of tires he's going to be jumping on to. Yoda is now leading this race. Henners working to stick with Vexit here. Meanwhile, a little bit of an overtake there as the Williams comes out of the pit lane in 6th position. Gets out ahead of Netluke. David is into the pits. Total Wizard has just taken a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Currently running in 14th is the Racing Point driver. Lutra has a new target, and that's going to be David. David on the fresher tires, though. 16 lap remaining is counting the present lap. We are currently on lap 20, and you can see a variety of drivers getting into the pit lane now. Yoda was one of them. Where is he going to come out? Is he going to get out ahead of the Williams? He will not, but it's not going to be that significant of a gap between them. He gets out in front of Luigi on fresh mediums, and he's going to be going to the end on those tires, that's for sure. Only 1.6 seconds away from the Williams that undercut him, which is a successful, somewhat successful undercut. Of course, he was leading ahead of Yoda, but not a massive amount of time gained on the Ferrari driver with the undercut. Luigi on the 5-lap old mediums, trying to stick with the Ferrari driver at the moment in this battle for third. Fluffy came out in 7th behind Zamis. He's on fresh mediums. He's going to have a lot of pace in that Haas right now. DRS on Zamis. Where are you going, my friend? What on earth? So he tries to go up the outside of Zamis. Zamis just keeping his line. That move didn't work out for the Haas driver. Fortunately for him, he didn't take any damage on that front wing. Luigi still with Yoda here. As I mentioned in this cast earlier, Luigi, a driver I've commentated before, has some good speed. And he's showing it right now with the older compound tires behind this Ferrari. Meanwhile, the Williams in second, net race winner at the moment, net race leader at the moment. That Williams in P2 there. Not pulling away from Yoda as much as he'd like. Vexit gonna have to pit here, putting that Williams in lead of this race. He's on the 16-lap old mediums, and they are going to be hurting. Zamis is going into the pits now as Fluffy got ahead of him. Maybe there was room down the outside this time. Who knows? We didn't catch it on board. Henry into 7th. Zamis is onto the hard compound tires now. A big shout out to Mr. BTFU15 in the chat, of course, gifting a subscription to the viewers. Mr. Alex Bitto gets the subscription. Thank you and congratulations to Alex. Zamis jumping onto those hard compound tires now. Is going to be looking to go the distance. Everybody ahead of him obviously on older compound tires. And hopefully those hards do well for him. Now you can see Vexit has already been caught by our race leader. Although Vexit is leading this race, he is most definitely going to have to pit again as Zamis takes a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. But you can see this Williams getting by the the Renault quite easy here on 18-lap old mediums. Is Vexit. Yoda is going to be catching him quite rapidly as well. Ooh, big slide through the hairpin from the Renault. That's going to be a lot of time lost for Vexit, but Yoda's right there. He's going to have DRS. Thank you to Vanix for the gifted sub in the channel. Congratulations to the recipient of that one. And that's going to be Vexit sticking out here, as he has now completed 19 laps on those hard compound tires. He's moving to go 20. Yoda is starting to pull away from Luigi here, and this Renault is holding him up. Ooh, a little bit of a tap there. Ooh, I don't know what the Renault was thinking there. Yoda was out in front into that turn. That's a tough move to try and make. Too wide for sure. And the driver on that inside almost always loses out. I know from experience, as I do that regularly when I race this circuit. Of course, Fluffy now catching up with Vexit. We'll see if Vexit tries to go too wide through a chicane here. He's going to jump ahead into the pit lane. David currently at the back in 10th position, the last point scoring position. You can see Vexit and Netluke both pitting for softs here, looking to go to the end. Absinthe took a 3-second time penalty. Vexit comes out ahead of Absinthe, just ever so slightly. David on the fresher medium compound tires catching up with Absinthe quite easily here, as Henry and Chris are having a battle. And this is a further position up the grid. You can see Chris getting away from Henry with the ERS, Henry not using any. Chris with a little less battery in the system than Henry at the moment, making their way through 3-4 chicane. David did get ahead of Absinthe into lap 27. Zamis is currently less than a second away from P9 on the fresher hard compound tires. Meanwhile, Liam has jumped into the pit lane. Henner's powering down now in that McLaren with the DRS over the racing point. He's not too close to him at the moment. Keeping it very quick through the chicane. Takes a 3-second time penalty though, but he is going to have a DRS slipstream on that racing point. Very clean overtake there from the McLaren. The racing point, Chris, has now dropped into 5th position for the moment. And you can see a multitude of penalties coming across from race control as these drivers continuing to cross through that final chicane. And the other chicanes throughout this circuit are, well, they're causing some trouble for these drivers, these time penalties, as the gaps aren't that massive. In this race right now, penalties can still play a massive role to the finish of this race. And race control again, Netluke, a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. So keeping it clean is going to play out for some of these drivers here. Chris still sticking with Henners. Henners slowly pulling away. Chris does have DRS. Not going to be enough to make a move here. As it stands right now, the Williams is leading this race for 25 points. Yoda is in second for 18 points. Fluffy is in third for 15 points. And Henners is in fourth for 10 points, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it 12? Somebody please help me. A lot of penalties coming across for the DMR drivers in this portion of the race. A lot of drivers going to be feeling tire degradation, meaning that their braking points are going to need to be adapted and adjusted, of course, to prevent any kind of exceeding of limits or cutting. What a crazy hectic start to this race, and then the VSC came out after that first full safety car and slowed everybody down, and gaps started to form. Of course, when you fall out of that DRS train, it can be quite difficult to catch up, but Zamis now in 9th position. Ooh, and there's a retirement. Who's that going to be? That's another retirement at the Wall of Champions, making it a total of 6 drivers now, and there is a safety car here on lap 30. Huge news here for this race. And that is 6 total drivers out at the Wall of Champions chicane here in Canada. Massive, massive crash there for Vexit. Now it is 6 MRL drivers versus 8 DMR drivers and only 10 positions available to score points. So let's see what everybody opts to do here. That is the race leader staying out. Yoda is in. Now Yoda, with a great lead over 3rd position right now, has just brought himself into a fantastic position, to potentially win this race, as he is now on to softs until the end. Fluffy is in. Chris stays out on 9-lap-old mediums. Luigi stays out on 4-lap-old softs. Yoda and Henry are getting onto softs. David is in. He's going to get off those mediums. What tires is he going to get on? Zamis is in. Ooh, this is going to be shaping up for a huge finale, as majority of the grid is now onto the soft compound tires. You can see Zamis is serving a penalty. So he's going to come out where? Lutra crossing the chicane now. Now they're not going to have a lot of time to catch up this safety car. There's Zamis coming out of the pits. He's in 10th position. It's a DMR top 3 at the moment, but I have to say the Williams in the lead with Chris behind him, as well as Luigi, if I'm being honest. Not going to be on optimal tires here for this restart if some of those other fresh compound soft runners can catch up the grid in time. And they already have. So Fluffy currently 4 seconds away from catching this grid. You can see there's the grid up ahead. Jay is in the middle, and there's going to be back markers playing a role here, which is something that I love to see. Back markers throwing a wrench into things. For those that are unfamiliar, ghosting is off. So Fluffy is going to have to pass Jay. You know, blue flags will, of course, come across the circuit, but you can't just drive through that car the way you would see in some leagues. Of course, MRL, very, very accustomed to having ghosting off. Yoda, fresh soft compound tires. He is the first of the most fresh running drivers when it comes to tires. He is in 4th at the moment. All the drivers ahead of him on the podium on older tires. The softs at 5 laps old are going to be quite slower than the fresh ones. Zamis, Luktra, Liam, Jay are the MRL drivers currently from 10th down. Total Wizard caught between them and 13th. He opted to jump onto he opted to jump onto some fresh softs. As I try to catch my words, I have to say the excitement, ladies and gentlemen, is killing me waiting for the safety car to come in here, and it looks like we might be going around for one last lap. Take a look at the front runner here. That light is on. The safety car is going to be going around again, and it is waiting for the entire grid to catch up right now. Take the time behind safety car, of course, to plug it for what I think may be the last time, as we have only 3 laps remaining, counting the present lap we're following safety car on. It is going to be coming in at the end of lap 33. There is not going to be any DRS enabled for the finale of this race. It is all going to come down to driving and tires, and it looks like there's been an overtake of some kind here. Henry has lost a position to Absinthe, which I am not too sure how that is possible, unless, of course, there was some kind of timing glitch for Absinthe, which I may have been oblivious to. But, of course, the MRL is giving away F1 2020 Michael Schumacher Edition. And in order to be eligible, all you need to do is follow us here on twitch.tv/MisfitsRL and type MRL 2020 in the chat. And at the end of the race, you are going to be in a draw to win the brand new Formula One game. Luktra takes a 5-second penalty. Now, keep in mind what I said throughout this race. Penalties, such as 3-second corner cutting penalties, and there's it is, race control signaling that the safety car is coming in, but penalties, 3 seconds for a lot of these drivers coming across race control, multiple 3-second penalties. And I have to say, I don't know what this grid is going to look like when these drivers cross that checkered flag for the final time. Now, Jay is a lap down at the moment. You can see here he is behind Yoda, unable to overtake and catch the safety car, but he is in a prime position to stall those 2 Haas drivers behind him for even a moment, as we're back to racing here. Yoda into second position already. The Williams are struggling. That's Yoda on the outside. He gets a nice brush. Oh, there goes Chris. Zamis is on a charge. Yoda, not much he can do there. He was already ahead and as far to the inside as he could be. Yoda's in 3rd. Henry's in 6th. Zamis is looking to hunt down the drivers ahead of him. Up the inside into the hairpin of Luigi. He gets that move done. A little bit of a tap. And this is Fluffy. I think all bets are off at this point. We are about to enter the final lap of this race. Yoda and Luigi fighting now. Luigi up the inside. And he has a big issue there. Absinthe into 3rd position, Fluffy in 4th, and these guys are just bringing the MRL drivers into the points right now. Last lap of this race, ladies and gentlemen. It is very intense. David very close to the rear of Henry. All of these drivers are quite tight. Zamis is into 7th. That's Netluke up the inside of him on the exit. Zamis struggling a little bit. Netluke on 1 lap older tires at the moment. Zamis looking back to the outside. Good defense there from Netluke in the Mercedes, but Zamis, no DRS going to happen for any of these drivers. Henry has fallen into 6th position. Not sure what happened there. Yoda in a wheel-to-wheel fight through the last chicane. What's going to happen here? He gets on the brakes first. The Williams gets out. And here we go. As the Williams crosses the line first, he starts his celebratory wee, but that's Yoda getting out in front of him on penalties, and the whole grid has started to shake up. Henry in 4th, Liam in 5th with no penalties. Total Wizard in 6th, Fluffy in 7th, Lutra is in 8th, 9th for Zamis, Netluke in 10th, David. Wow, what a penalty shakeup there at the end, and we're going to take a look at the grid now. For those of you interested in this giveaway, make sure you go grab your friends, grab your family, get in here. The more people here, the more opportunities you have to win. And what I mean by that is if a friend of yours happens to win, they can, of course, just give the game to you. So, wow, what a race from these drivers. Now let's take a look, and of course there's going to be a final tally for the points. That was an absolutely intense and electrifying race here in Canada. Such a tight grid when we came out of qualifying, and let's take a look at how things finished off here in this one. Yoda with the race win. You can see there, not a single penalty to speak for on that Ferrari. Quenny, the Williams, finishes 2nd position. Absinthe in 3rd for Haas. Now it is a 4-5 for McLaren. Henners, taking only 9 seconds in penalties, finishes 4th. 6 seconds in penalties for Liam. Total Wizard took 8 seconds. He finishes 6th. Fluffy in 7th. Lutra in 8th. Zamis in 9th. And Netluke in 10th. That rounds off your top 10 drivers. Luigi in 11th. David in 12th. Jay, the last of the drivers to finish this race. Chris, unfortunately unable to finish things off here, getting taken out as a result of a move, a very risky move on Yoda. Vexit, 15th. DMR, aka the Stig, in 16th. Alex Bitto, unfortunately getting caught up in that major wall of champions crash, causing the first safety car, as well as Freeware, Bois, and Shenjay, who Shenjay, for those of you that did not know, was on pole position in this race. Alex Bitto started this race in 7th, and they were taken out as a result of some very interesting racecraft. But that is, of course, we're going to take a look at the race director really quick. There's going to be a lot of penalties here. This session is ending. Are we going to get through it all? No way, Jose. But a massive amount of super intense driving here. I have to say, everybody must have been excited by that one. And, wow. Just wow. A lot of fun for sure. But you guys know what it's time for. It's time for that moment that we have all been waiting for. We have been waiting for a giveaway. And that, of course, is the Misfits Racing League F1 2020 Schumacher Edition giveaway. 60 users at the moment are eligible for the giveaway. Add a few more in here as some of these racers, I'm sure, are going to want to join us in stream after that one. Give it a few minutes, guys, as I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. 2 minutes here. To grab your friends, grab your siblings, grab your family, tell them to get an account on Twitch, jump on in here, type MRL 2020 in the chat, and follow the page, and they will be eligible to win Formula 1 2020 Michael Schumacher Edition. And the ticker is counting down. As soon as that ticker hits live, we are going to roll the giveaway. Moderators in the chat, the winner, we will have to, of course, verify that they are following the channel. If they are not following the channel when their name is drawn, they will be passed over. Currently 69 eligible drivers or racers or viewers, if you will, for this wonderful giveaway that we're doing. And how it's going to work is we're going to pick the winner and you are going to direct message the Misfits Racing League channel with your contact information, and we will get in touch with you and sort out how to get you the game. Now, I do want to say we'd had a question in the chat earlier about whether or not subscriptions and subscribers get an additional chance, if you will, and the answer is no. Do we get to see this actual selection? No, we do not get to see the actual selection, as it is entirely handled by the Nightbot. If you'd like, I can enter the screen for you. I can show you the screen. Give me a moment to get that set up for you. If you guys want to see it so that there's no funny business, I am all for that. Alrighty, so for those of you that are new here, we have a viewer here, Mark eligible. So we have 70 eligible users in this giveaway. As you can see, regular luck. Regulars get no extra luck, a subscriber gets no extra luck, and everybody has equal opportunity here. And I'm going to take Streamlabs out because they're a moderator. Moderators aren't eligible, for the record. So the MRL volunteers are not eligible for this giveaway, as that would just be a little off, wouldn't it? No, there is not interviews after the race. Interviews promote, well, I've seen them promote toxicity in the past, so we're going to not be doing that. All right, guys. Are we ready? If you're still looking to win F1 2020, all you got to do, MRL 2020 in the chat and follow the stream. Last chance. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're rolling it. Congratulations to Fubar2273. Fubar, I certainly hope you're in the chat, my friend. What a lucky son of a bitch. You know, how fitting could that possibly be? That's fantastic. The German wins the Michael Schumacher edition for F1 2020. Congratulations, Fubar. I know how to get in touch with you. Greatly appreciate that. That's crazy stuff right there. Now, for those of you that don't know, Fubar is the recruiter for MRL. He's not actually an admin of the league. He's just a recruiter and a driver. So congratulations to Fubar. Lovely stuff. Now, of course, with that being said, I see the questions already. Who won the event? Who won the event at the moment is unclear. We're going to tally the points, and of course, you guys know where to reach us on social media, and we're going to post all of that wonderful stuff there. And to Mr. Biggles, I was supposed to have a commentator with me today. He decided he would be better off just recording it and not being a part of the live show, so it's unfortunate, but we, instead of getting a second commentator in here, we did give him that second commentator seat in the race. So DMR has some footage of their own, and that's always nice. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today for this race. There's even more racing action tomorrow if you're keen. The MRL is taking on an exhibition race at Austria. And well, we have a special guest, Mr. Formula One racing driver for Williams, Nicholas Latifi, is going to be joining us for that race tomorrow. So we are super excited for that, and we hope you join us here on this Twitch channel for that race at 5 o'clock BST, I do believe is the current scheduled time. Of course, Mr. Nicholas Latifi, a very busy guy. So, well, we just hope that he's got the time for us, and we can put on a great race for you guys. But that is going to wrap it up for us, and I couldn't do myself any... I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I didn't plug that fantastic race tomorrow. But I would just want to say, my name is Stryfium. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. Congratulations on Fubar for winning F1 2020. Great stuff for him. And I really, really, really appreciate all of you guys supporting the stream over the season for MRL Season 2. We're going to jump on over now and go and check in with Mr. Zamis, who had a very, very unique race. And I certainly hope he's in good spirits after that one. But, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Thank you to DMR. Thank you to Adam for helping set this event up. And thank you to all of the DMR participants. I hope you enjoy the broadcast when you get an opportunity to watch it. Of course, for anybody who's looking to see the full race broadcast replay, it will be available on our YouTube channel, as well as a shortened highlights video and perhaps a couple of other different intense little videos, clips, and things like that. Of course, lots of great content over there. You could watch our entire MRL season if you wanted to. But of course, that is it for us. Have a great evening. We're going to go over and raid Zamis. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you smash that like button to let us know, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more great racing content. We are live on Twitch every week on twitch.tv Misfits Racing League. Hit us up in the description below for our Discord and Twitter links as well. Always looking to get connected on those, and if you're interested in joining the MRL, Discord is the place to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.